Today I will be talking about one of my favorite apps in all of Odoo. This is the POS or point of sale. The Odoo POS is compatible with a wide variety of hardware. Most of them can even be connected directly. So you got things like barcode scanners that you can connect directly, you got cash registers, receipt printers, payment terminals, and that's not all. You can even connect even more things if you use one of our IoT boxes. In that case, you could add things like maybe a weighing scale, and you could even connect more payment terminals at once, different kinds of printers, and so on and so forth. All right. Now, one of the biggest strengths of the POS is its simplicity. Basically, you're going to have everything you need in a single screen. Whether you want to add notes to your customer's order, maybe you want to assign them to a different table, you want to split the bill between different people, you want to print the bill on the spot, or use rewards programs. You also, I don't know, there's so many things you can do from this single convenient screen. Now, once the customer has finished their order, you can easily select his form of payment and create an invoice if necessary from the screen. Then you can even manage the tips for your employees from the same screen, so it's considered when registering the payment. Alright. Now, something that is also super cool about the POS is that you can basically you can create your restaurant layout, and you can also manage it basically at any point in time. Basically, this is what your layout looks like whenever you want to create an order. And then in here, I created two floors, for example. One of them is the patio, and the other one is the inside part of my restaurant. Here, just by clicking on this small icon here on the top right corner, I can actually just create new tables on the spot. I can move them around, change the sizes. I can also change the colors of the background. In this case, I put it green just to reflect the fact that it might be like outside or on grass or something like that. And you can do that, I don't know, you can basically design your whole restaurant, and if you're not that picky, maybe in less than 5 minutes. Alright? Then, this is super useful because you want your people to be able to add orders to the tables that they're assigned to without getting confused, right? You maybe your waiters or waitresses walk out to the patio. If they notice that the layout on their tablet is exactly the same as the one that they have on, in reality, they can just turn around and select the right table. All right. Now, Odoo's POS was already really cool, but now B14 comes adding a lot of new features with them. Now, there's a couple of new features that are coming. An interesting one, or one that I particularly found interesting, was the ability to choose whether you want to update your stock, the quantities that are being taken from the POS in real time or at the time of the session closing. All right. Then, another one of the exciting features that we have is now the inclusion of the product configurator in the Odoo's point of sale. By selecting the product configurator option in the point of sale settings, you can now configure your products from the POS. So as you can notice here, you basically have, in this case, a product we call the wooden door that the person in your point of sale would be selling, and then he can choose whether he wants a specific color there or he wants a specific kind of wood. This is super useful for products that are highly customizable and that maybe you do not want to add all of the different combinations to your product catalog. So then you can just add the product configurator so that either your salesperson there or whoever's using the point of sale can configure it on the spot. All right? Then another example for this, let's say you have the Odoo POS set up in a very nice elegant restaurant, and it's going to be fairly straightforward and have a lot of useful features. Then one of your customers might want to come in and order a nice juicy steak. All right. Your waiter picks the ribeye steak, from his laptop or tablet or different kinds of devices. And at that same point in time, he can actually choose the kind of cooking that or term that the meat will have. So if it will be rare, medium rare, etc. And he can also even choose the sides that will come with that steak. So that that way, once he just chooses the different combination he wants, the order comes printed right away from our kitchen or from cash register. All right. Now, another new exciting feature is that, something that is coming for V14 as well, which is an answer for a growing demand. We will now have Odoo PoS Mobile. All right, an interface that was already designed for productivity became even better. Now, I'm going to demonstrate how easy it is to browse around your Odoo database, set up your POS, and also how your people would use it on a day-to-day basis. All right, so we got our Odoo database here. As soon as you sign in, this is basically what you would be seeing. Then we got some apps that we're going to use. In case we just want to use the POS, you can just use it, but then if you want to keep track of your inventory, for example, you also would need that app. Now I'm going to enter the POS app, and here you can see that I've created 2 different points of sale. One of them would be considered a regular shop, and the other one would be configured as a restaurant. All right. If you go here to your for example, if you go here to your product or your product variants, you can create the different products or product variants that you're going to use in your POS. You can also create your loyalty programs here in case you want to create something like rewards for your returning customers or some sort of loyalty card or something that you're going to use and you want to keep track of. You can also look at your reporting here to look at the different orders that you've had. And you can look at different kinds of measures, and you can also edit and filter out whatever you want to see. You can also look at basically a sales report for everything that's come out of your POS, and you can select exactly which one we're talking about, and what's the start and end date that you want to look at. Okay, and you can have it printed here. Then, if you go here to configuration, you can set up different points of sales. Just like right now I have 2, you can set up more. You could set up your payment methods in case, you can take cash and card, but you can also take specific kinds of payment methods. Now, Odoo is compatible with some payment methods directly, like I mentioned in the Odoo hardware part. You have payment methods kind of like Adyen, for example. The Adyen card reader can work with your Odoo POS directly without the need of an IoT box. Okay? You can also create your POS product categories here and your different attributes. If you go to the settings here, we're going to have a couple different options. And as soon as it opens, in 1 second. And for example, we can set up different price lists in our POS. We can work also with different multi-currencies. Let's say that you're maybe setting up POS in an airport terminal. It might be very important for you to be able to take different currencies. So you would activate that there. You can use cash rounding in case, for example, I know some some Odoo clients that have databases with maybe very small currencies. So it's important for them to not be able to round past a certain number. Here's where you can choose your different payment terminals that you're going to use. And here's that feature I mentioned about the inventory management. All right. But the most important of the setup that you're going to do is basically directly on your POS. To do this, you can access either through here at your point of sale, or you can just click on the 3 dots and then click on settings. Here is where you're going to be able to basically configure or enable a lot of the different options that we have. especially for restaurants. That layout that I mentioned is over here, adding those to your orders. The category pictures is, I'll show it in a little bit. You can set up the start category, and amongst other things, something that is pretty important, you can also filter out different product categories. For example, if you have several different POS, you can create product categories that are specific to each one of them, and that way you can have the products that only exist in that specific POS only be displayed on that one. Alright. You can set different physical positions in case that actually applies. Include or exclude taxes. And what else? Well, you can include, you can choose to include like headers and footers for your receipts that are printed from your receipt printer. Also, you can set up your receipt printer to automatically print out the receipt every time that an order is confirmed. All right, so that way you can streamline things even further. For example, saying you take somebody's order, they pay, the receipt comes out automatically from your kitchen so that they keep things moving. Okay, then you can select basically where, what journal in your accounting these POS entries are taken into. And you can also select the operation type for inventory that will make those product moves once they're taken from your inventory in the POS. Okay. Now, basically the way that you would start a session or that you would open up your POS to use it would be by clicking either a new session or resuming an already existing session. Once we click here, the system takes a little bit to actually load it. The reason why is because, and this is very important, the POS is one of the few apps that I can actually work offline. Alright? It's pretty important because you don't want to depend on maybe, let's say one of your stores, there's a problem in the, there's a problem with your internet, you don't want to have to stop selling, right? So that is why there's this little loading going on there, and basically that brings all your inventory in here, and that's going to enable it to work offline as well. As I mentioned here, I already created this small layout where I have my patio and I have my inside tables. Alright, just by clicking here, I can go to any of the floors that I selected. Now, as I said, if I click here on this small icon, I can just click and move around my tables at any point. I can also make it bigger, make it smaller, change the font that I have in there, change the colors from here. It's super easy, super fast. Okay. Then, as soon as I want to register an order, let's say I'm the waiter, I arrive at table 1, I click on it. Oh, I think it's saving from the layout, I guess. Okay, so I pick my table, and I see all of my available products in here. Actually, if let's remove this existing order. As you can see, it's opening up on the product category food. If I go back here, this is basically my home screen. This would be the picture of one of my product categories. Maybe on tablets especially, or now on the mobile phone, it's pretty important to be able to see the, to manage your categories and all of your products via images, because that way it becomes a lot more visual. They can just click around and say, for example, I want to select anything that is inside of food. And then they can take the customer's order and say, okay, perfect. So this customer also happens to want our ribeye steak. Okay, so he wants it. I don't want to do anything over medium. And adding some asparagus on the side. Then let's say that this customer also has some allergies or some special requests. Maybe sing happy birthday for my girlfriend by the end of dinner. Right? So That would be kind of unusual request, but you can basically add any note you want to do. Then the customer would go to select his form of payment. In this case, we have not configured like any specific payment method, but we can choose like either cash or bank. Let's include a tip here, might as well. Let's add $10 because why not? And select the form of payment, bank. Alright, so normally with bank you will not need any change, so your quantity remaining and change is 0. You will validate, and the system has sent the order to print our receipt automatically. So that's basically what's loading up here. Of course, this normally would be a little bit faster, but we're running the recording, or not the, but we're running the video. Okay. So then, whenever I'm actually done, I can select here to make a new order, or I can just close my POS if that's the case. Alright, this will now close the session. Like again, since it was running its own window that can run offline, it takes a little bit of time. But once it's done, I can then choose to close my session completely and to validate and all the accounting entries that were done from the session. All right. So I'll close here. And I can close my session and post entries, like I said. Alrighty, so then here, if you notice, we have the different orders that were made, the different pickings, and all the different payments. Okay? So, I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I do, and I will be moving on to a quick Q&A session. Thank you so much.
First one is about the cost. So is it possible to get the cost of a customer order if they order an hamburger and fried chips plus a Coke, for instance?
Okay, very good question. So first of all, I'm sorry, I noticed some of you mentioned that you were not able to hear me that well, so I kind of ran and get an answer real quick before the Q&A. Now, for the actual costs for these products, you cannot get it while you're actually using the POS, so inside that same interface. However, once you close your session and you go into, you can go into your orders, and in there, since we actually, if you select a particular order, we actually have the products in there. So using Studio, you can pull from the related field to the products and add the costs so you can visualize everything on the same place. That would be like a good way where you can see the full cost of that of each of your orders.
Oh, thank you, Christopher. So thank you for this answer. I hope it answered the question. Then we have another question. So how to enable the product configurator to the POS?
Okay, so this is actually a new feature coming for V14, as you might have heard on my during the talk. Now, it can be a little bit tricky, so it's good that you guys know, and it's a really good question. So in order to actually be able to use the POS, the product configurator inside of POS, your attributes need to be configured in a certain way. Like, you know how whenever you configure your attributes for your different variants, you can set them to create the variant every single time to create a single combination, or you can set them to create them dynamically, or the third setting, which is to never create the actual variant. Now, in order to be able to use it in the POS, you have to set it to never create these different attributes. That way, the POS knows that it's something that you will always configure on the spot, and that way you will be able to use the product configurator, for that specific product.
Thank you for this answer, Christopher. So now, what about multi-currency? Is it working in the POS?
Yes, there's a setting on POS on your specific shops or restaurants that you set up where you should be able to set up your multi-currency. Right now, out of the top of my head, I don't remember exactly like where we would set it up, but it should definitely be there amongst the different settings that we set up in the top right corner of your shop on the three dots. There on the settings, you should be able to find it.
Perfect then. Thank you for this answer.
Sure.
Now, can POS orders trigger manufacturing orders from a product?
POS orders, triggering manufacturing orders. I believe they should be able to because your POS orders will generate then the inventory moves for the different goods that are sold through it. And then those inventory moves will create the demand for the different products. So if, depending on your settings, if you made it your product in TO, or if you set up different reordering rules for those products, then that should trigger the manufacturing order if needed.
Okay, so I think this is subject to debate because we have someone in the chatter who says that it's not possible. So Patrick, so maybe we'll have to check that out and to see if it's possible. So thank you for this very interesting question and for your answer, Christopher.
Sure.
We don't have any more question on the chatter. Christopher, I don't know if you have something else to add.
Well, it's definitely a very interesting topic, the creation of manufacturing orders from POS. So something we can do, Patrick, is I can, if you leave your contact information or reach out to me at ccr@odoo.com, I can definitely reach out to you and be a little bit further so we can go through that.
Sure, of course. Thank you. So we'll wait a few seconds to see if we have more questions. So we have David asking how to set POS to print at 58 millimeters instead of 80. I don't know if
we probably mean the receipts for the POS?
I guess.
Normally, in Odoo, for different PDFs and tickets, receipts, labels, and so on, you normally have a predefined format. Normally, the way that we handle these configurations for printing inside different formats, whether it's bigger, smaller, longer, etc., is by actually changing the printing settings on your printer configuration. So that's something that we can definitely try. Other than that, on the different PDFs, you can normally play around with different widths or sizes. However, for this particular one, you might have to make the changes in the view directly because I don't not think it's one of our available reports that you can just do it directly via Studio. Okay, so I believe you would have to either do it directly through the printer configuration or you would have to make the changes in the view.
Perfect, thank you. So this was the answer for David. Now someone is reacting to the multi-currency question before, and Fabrizio is asking if it's possible to have customer pay in multiple currencies, but in the same POS session.
Yes, that is possible. Actually, I remember mentioning an example where you might have your POS inside like an airport. So yeah, you do have like the option to select multiple currencies. I am not exactly sure if within the same sale, because it would be kind of strange, to be honest, to like sell maybe something and then somebody pays you maybe euros at like maybe I don't know, €3 and $2. That would be kind of a pretty unusual case. So I'm honestly not sure. I would have to like check it out myself as well. And then if you reach out to me, I will also make sure to come up with the definite answer for that.
Thank you. So Fabrizio, you can directly contact Christopher. Then we have another question. So can we disable POS orders to automatically validate the deliveries? For instance, when it's home deliveries or pickup in the store?
That's a really good question as well. Everybody's coming with good questions now. I think you can if we go to the operation type. There's a specific operation type that works with the POS. So in there, we might be able to change the settings of the POS operation that is generated in order to not be validated automatically. I'm honestly not sure. That's something that I would have to check out as well, and it would be my pleasure to actually go and dig around for this for the exact answer for those really good questions that you guys are coming up.
You have tough questions today, Christopher.
That's right.
It's almost time to close the Q&A. We'll wait just a few seconds to see if someone has still a question, and then we will close. But you can always contact Christopher or anybody at Odoo to ask questions, or even our partners. Well, sure. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you for this very good presentation. Thank you for the audience, and I wish you all a very good Odoo experience.
My pleasure. Have a good day.
Bye.